Well, there's early stages of another truckers convoy now saying they are not going into New York City. How can this impact, and really could this be the next wave of good moves by conservatives, or at least people who just want freedom and liberty, not this one-sided justice? Also, the same thing happens with the farmers. How powerful are the truckers? How powerful are the farmers? More than you realize. Let's jump into today talking about just that. Also, we'll hit on the crazy policy that just passed down from New York City that started all this. Let's jump into it. Today's video starts right now. Hey guys, welcome to the Max. Thank you so very much for being here today. Again, I'm sorry I'm in the truck. It's about 20 something outside, and for some reason, my camera just cuts off if it gets too cold. So again, I'm so sorry the scenery is not as pretty as it usually is. So forgive me for that. Hopefully we'll be getting to spring very soon and you'll have better sights than this truck. Now let's talk about the play at hand. What's actually going on? Now I want to talk about two different facets happening pretty much across the world, and how I think if we really put momentum behind it, it could make a huge difference. Not just talking about it, not just a Twitter trend, but it truly can make a huge difference. So first and foremost, the whole situation with the truckers starting to not want to deliver to New York City is this crazy policy that's been passed down of fraud on Trump. Now, this shows that this is not a fair trial. Let me kind of explain to what happened. The guy basically took a loan out. His collateral was Mar-a-Lago or a lot of his businesses. They're saying that he said Mar-a-Lago was worth way more than it was. Now, let's stop just for a second. First of all, if a bank is not doing their due diligence, no matter what Trump or whomever the owner is, do due diligence or pull comps or know what the value of something is, that's the bank's fault, not the person borrowing the money. I know there's been tons of times that people have walked in banks wanting to borrow money, and they may say, well, I mean, I can pay it back. Well, the truth is, do you have something just in case you can't pay it back? Well, Mar-a-Lago was that. Now, here's the thing. It's not the fact that Trump didn't pay it back. Trump actually paid it back. The bank agreed to it. Trump paid interest. The note was paid in full. But because they're trying to get Trump in some form or fashion, they end up bringing him to court saying he committed fraud, not saying what the value of Mar-a-Lago is. Mar-a-Lago is a monster place. And to be honest with you, value is probably way closer to Trump than what it is from the AG court side. But again, you have a corrupt AG, a corrupt judge that is going to set this policy. And just like the last policy of $88 million, now Trump's looking at $350-something million. So you're saying $500,000 due to cases that actually were not true cases. So who does Trump pay? The banks? Actually, after the banks already have been paid, who does he pay? There is no victim because he paid the note back. Who's the victim on the other situation? He came non-guilty to what E. Jean Carroll said, but then all of a sudden in civil court, because he said he didn't do it, and she said he did, then he gets sued for it? I mean, come on, this is so false. So that's kind of what brings this whole preface down. If they can bankrupt him, they can get him out of the election. My thought is always this, and I said this on Twitter yesterday, and if you're not following me on Twitter, I really get very detailed on Twitter. So please follow me on Twitter, the Colby Mac. But the question is, how long is he going to keep this up? You know, this guy has nothing. I mean, he was a popular guy from the Republicans to the conservatives to the liberals to the leftists to the center. Everybody loved Donald Trump when he was doing the You're Fired. And everybody loved Donald Trump. I mean, he was on Home Alone. He was on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. This guy was an icon. He was on MTV Cribs. I mean, he was on so much. But then all of a sudden he gets in politics and now they try to destroy his life. The question is, why don't, I kind of often wonder, it's like, do I really want to do this anymore? I could just walk away and be an ultra billionaire and not deal with the stress. But no, I think he sees there's importance there. And I think that's awesome. I see the same thing with Elon Musk. Not that these two people are any more special. It's just, I think they said, you know what, we've made our money. Now it's time to give back. And I think he's, you know, doing that. The scary thing is like, how long can he put up with this? How many millions and billions is he willing to spend to sacrifice for people like us who can't give millions and billions? So now you hear the truckers protest. Truckers warn loads to New York City will be rejected starting Monday. Now, I think this is a phenomenal thing, not because I want to see people go without. Anytime you stop movement of goods or you stop the movement of food, it shows how important you really are to the community. Most people don't give truckers and farmers credit. But to be honest with you, without the farmer growing the food, without the trucker providing the transportation of the food or the goods, you have nothing, because you don't know how to do anything anymore. I can provide everything I need here on my farm, but in New York City, there's no one probably growing gardens or having bees or having animals because they can't. So in New York City, you're fully dependent on people like the truckers. Truck drivers transport between 70 to 73% of all freight in the United States. Therefore, when truckers begin discussing plans on social media to boycott, especially a place like New York City, it's important to pay attention. Truck driver named Chicago One Ray on Twitter that says, hey, look, we need to stop doing this. I'm sick of seeing this. Let's boycott. Conservatives, this is a way that conservatives actually can win. You're saying normal Americans basically can stop the flow of goods. Now, you're not doing anything wrong. It's just saying these truckers who are actually bringing in a lot of goods that don't get a lot of credit, who's on the roads all night to bring food to you so you can buy it at the supermarket or buy it at the goods store, you may not be able to get it now. Now, what that does is just like the immigrants being sent to all these cities, you're starting to wake the leftists up to say, you know what? This is wrong. What are we doing? We're saying we want to be a sanctuary city, but actually they're taking over our goods. They're taking over our services. They're taking over our jobs. Look in San Francisco. They just elected a non-immigrant to serve on the election commission. You don't believe that illegal immigrants will be able to vote for long? Look at that. They're already over the election commission. What was the point of that? It's ridiculous. But the whole point is, if you start making changes based on them, based on New York City, you're going to see people get upset. They're going to then go to their politicians and say, you can't do this anymore. Just like you're starting to see in Chicago. Just like you're starting to see in New York City. They're starting to push against their mayors because they're like, there's millions of people here. They're actually getting better service than us, and we're the ones paying the taxes. We're the ones that's supposed to be the handout people. We're the ones supposed to get the things. But no, you're giving them to illegal immigrants. That's wrong. Then they're taking our jobs too. Truckers could really do something amazing if they do it and they stick together. Now, if only 5 trucks don't deliver, then that's probably 5 people without jobs. It's going to take a movement. So people like me, I cannot actually, I have nothing to do with a trucker. I have nothing to do with New York City. However, I want to get the word out because I want you to see that if you are a trucker in that area and you can tag on to this thing and you could protest it and make sure, of course, your job is safe, but this would be a good idea for you to do. If you're a trucker that is looking to support, this is a way to do it. Not that you can be one truck to do it. It's going to take massive loads of trucks not delivering. Just like it would take massive loads of farmers to bring the tractors out, to drop the manure off in front of these places all across Europe. Now, did you see actually there was a big amount of farm manure dropped in front of Nancy Pelosi's house, I think this week. So you may start seeing that uprising even here. But don't ever denigrate the fact that what a trucker and farmer can do, because without the farmer, you're not having food. Without the trucker, you're not getting the food and the goods to you. Both of those things are very key, especially because you're not sustainable, especially in the cities. No offense to anyone that lives in the cities. I'm just saying, unless you are a major prepper, you don't have a lot of the goods that you're needing, and you're having to go to the stores every day. If all of a sudden there's no deliveries for that week in a place like a metropolitan city like New York, if 3 or 4 days of non-deliveries would be 3 or 4 weeks of probably shops being completely empty, because people would realize it. They start, overbuying and panic buying, and then the stores are empty. I think this is a good play, and I hope the trucker convoy actually does it. He said, our bosses are not going to care if we deny the loads. We'll go somewhere else. I think that's good, that if these truckers have bosses that care enough to say, you know what, I'm going to support you, I think this actually could look very, very good. Now, again, I think it's going to take more than one guy. I think it's going to take 10 or 15 or 20 or 30 or 40 different companies pushing all their truckers to do the same thing, so it makes a huge impact. You don't need one street not getting deliveries. You need every street not getting deliveries if you want to make an impact. I don't know how statistically accurate this is, but it says truckers are about 95% for Trump. And I don't understand how anyone could think that this case of 350 million makes any sense. Now, he's talking as a common person, like I tell you all the time. Common sense American. There's no way that people understand that the fact that they brought up this trumped up charges, sorry about the pun, but literally there's no basis for it. He paid his debt back. It'd be different if he didn't pay his debt back and they took Mar-a-Lago as collateral and repoed it and it was only worth half of what he said it was. That has no bearing. If you pay off the loan, the bank satisfies the loan, it doesn't matter. Think about cars right now. Cars are being sold at a very inflated price. Well, can I sue the car manufacturer after I paid off the note to say, well, you sold it to me at a wrong price. You were usurious. Well, no, sir, you bought the car. You signed the note and you were willing to pay it back. You should have done your due diligence if you thought you were overpaying. You get what I'm saying? It's kind of like saying, well, bank is the good guy and Trump's the bad guy. And even though Trump paid it back, we're going to just make him pay $350 million more to the banks because there is no victim because no one brought up this charge but the Attorney General, who is pretty much bought out and paid for by the leftists like Soros. So what are we doing? And this judge, I bet you if you look back, I bet there's a lot to know about this judge. I would love to see his banking, and I hope it comes out. I hope just like the Fannie Willis situation in Georgia, I hope the same thing happens to Erdogan or whatever his name is and Letitia James. I would love to see how corrupt this is because I believe you're going to start seeing a lot more corruption in these situations because, to be honest with you, again, I'm not saying Trump's perfect, but it's like, if Trump did anything wrong, wouldn't you think the bank would be the one suing him? Don't you think that E. Jean Carroll would actually not just bring up 8 or 9 other different charges to 8 or 9 other men, and actually the defamation would not be the big issue, it'd be the fact that I was hurt? No, it's not that. It's all about destroying Trump so he cannot run. And they're doing a good job of it, and our justice system is allowing it, and our Republicans are not standing up truly against it. They're just talking, but not actually doing anything about it. So I think common sense Americans like this saying, you know what, we don't want to stop the trucks. I think that's a phenomenal idea, and I hope it works out, and I hope he does it, because I think that if he starts this movement and these convoys work, you stop goods, people in these cities start saying, wait, hold on. You know, we may want to rethink this. What is encouraging, though, is that you're starting to see truckers, American truckers, and farmers learn from what's happening in Europe to say, you know what, we can make a difference. You know, if these guys want to, basically do what they want to do and they think they can get away with it, if we stop goods from moving, that's a big deal. Now, that's where it comes down to men and women in these countries. That's when it comes down to real people can still make a difference. This guy's just a trucker. I'm just a farmer. I speak on YouTube daily and farm and own a little small business in town. But if I can impact you to say, you know what, I want to think about that a little bit more. Oh, wow, that's a great idea. It's the same way. This trucker's doing the exact same thing. He's just a normal guy saying, you know what? I mean, we should be up in arms about the fact that someone's getting sued for $350 million for no reason. There's no victim. And everybody got paid back with interest. Help me understand that. And nobody is going to explain it because it makes no sense. It's unprecedented. So my hope and thought is farmers, keep plowing it and making sure that you're helping your communities. Farmers in Europe, keep causing issues to show you're not going to stand up for these policies, because without the farm, you don't have food. Truckers, you are strong because guess what? 75%, roughly 70 to 75% of all goods are transported by you. If you want to impact this America, you can, but it's going to take y'all working together. I'm not a trucker, don't really know a lot of truckers, but kudos to this guy. I hope that he will stand, and I hope there'll be a lot of people stand with him, not just on Twitter, but in reality. And I hope the bosses back him as well. We're starting to see what real boycott and real progress can do when it comes to making sure that the little guy's voice is heard. I'm hoping that this guy will keep on doing it. I hope that the convoy will keep on working, but if they do, this could be very successful and it could cause a lot of problems. And I think that that problem will help build the solution to say, you know what? If you want to really try Trump on these kind of things, take it out of New York, take it out of D.C. Don't take it to a liberal court system. Take it to just normal middle American court systems. I promise you, you'd realize people are like, what? What are we doing? Sadly, I still think that there's not enough conservative politicians on the big stage, the bigger people standing up and saying how much of a farce this is. I hope that there'll be a lot of multi-billionaires and millionaires that live in New York that'll pull out. Because not only did they find him, they told him he couldn't do business for 3 years. So if you think they can do it to him, they can do it to you as the multimillionaire. They can do it to you as the multi-billionaire or the businessman. So it's time to get out of these liberal cities, because what's happening is if you go against the fray, you're next on the chopping block. So I hope that not only will the truckers stop delivering goods, I hope you start seeing mega millionaires and billionaires and business owners pull out, move to places like Florida, Texas, or any other conservative state. Look, Jeff Bezos, as much as people don't like him, he did the same thing. He pulled out and he went to Miami. Now he lives in Florida. Same way with Elon Musk. I love to see these big billionaires and millionaires who are saying, you know what, even if they don't want to be in the middle of it, it's just like, why do I want to stay in these liberal areas that all of a sudden 40 years later somebody can bring a charge against me and charge me $80 million? Or a court system that doesn't like my policy can sue me when there's no victim and I lose another $500,000. It doesn't make sense. Comment below, would you support the Truckers Convoy? Especially for someone that lives in the city, it may affect you more. So I think that you need to make sure you're prepared just in case it gets a little bigger and it actually works as a boycott. Let me know what you think. Do you think it's wrong? Do you think it's right? Do you see what the farmers are doing in Europe? Do you think they should be doing it here? Sad thing here is you're starting to see a lot of these farmers that if they're real farmers, they're having to work and they can't get away. And some of these farms are getting sold to big businesses. So it's like, you know, I don't know if it will work here. But I hope to see more of this coming because it shows little man, the little free-minded man, can still make a difference. And I'm glad this trucker's doing what he's doing. Guys, give me your thoughts. Let me know what you think. God bless. Happy homesteading.